grateful to the government regulators, to the local community, to the employees, the contractors, and of course the board that gave me the money for allowing us to have this facility.
It's very exciting. A lot of energy coming back. Super smooth, super clean. Truly bringing out the values of what Guinness Nigeria stands for: creativity, innovation. It's really all there. I mean, this one makes me want to come to the office every day. It's so exciting to wake up and know that you have to come to a place that really just sparks off your creativity. And I think it's one that we'll really enjoy going forward.
Working remotely for so long, it's amazing to come into this beautiful space, you know, the creative zones, the collaborative zones. It's just really beautiful, and most importantly, the smiles on everybody's face when they walk into the building, you know, priceless.
I love the diverse and exquisite seating arrangement. You can just pick a corner that works so well for you. Seeing it already just inspires and energizes me to do so much work, and I'm really here for it. I love the new HQ.
As you can see, I love this gym, and it's a place to be. You always want to keep fit. So you can join me every evening here, or maybe your weekend, we can spend it together. So we connect, we collaborate to create the future of work.
After 2 years working from home, this is the most exciting place to be, to burn off the accumulated fats. I can't wait to be fit in order to collaborate and be creative for the future work.
This is my favorite place in this new building. I find it quite amazing that we can even work here during work hours, and you'll probably find me here most of the time.
Big welcome to our guests that are just making it in. I know the traffic must have been really terrible, but thank you. You're here today. There's still so much that is waiting for you. We've not cut the ribbon yet, so you haven't missed too much. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's nice to be able to gather again, like Priscilla said. It's really good to be able to get our stakeholders together to celebrate important milestones in the journey of Guinness Nigeria.
Guests, and today, most importantly, employees of Guinness Nigeria PLC. It's really fantastic to be here on such a special day. I've got a really long job title, but the most important part of it is that I get to look after the Guinness brand all over the world. And Guinness is a famous and iconic brand. It's well known everywhere. But there are two places that are more important than any other for Guinness, our two spiritual homes, which are in Ireland, where I'm based, where Guinness was first created 263 years ago, and the other spiritual home is here in Nigeria.
That is here today. I see a lot of familiar faces, faces that have inspired us, faces that have collaborated with us, faces that have encouraged us, regulators, government agencies, directors, my colleagues on the leadership team of Guinness Nigeria, and of course my distinguished colleagues, employees of Guinness Nigeria. Thank you so very much. We are on the roll. Guinness is rocking, all right? This is yet another opportunity for us to say to our employees, thank you for all the work that you put in over the last 2 years, and it represents the greatness of the things we shall be doing together in the future. I welcome everybody who has given up their time to come and join us today, and all the institutions that you represent. I cannot name everybody, but we are so grateful to the government regulators, to the local community, to the employees, the contractors, and of course the board that gave me the money for allowing us to have this facility.
I think it's very exciting. A lot of energy coming back. Super smooth, super clean. Truly bringing out the values of what Guinness Nigeria stands for: creativity, innovation. It's really all there. I mean, this one makes me want to come to the office every day. It's so exciting to wake up and know that you have to come to a place that really just sparks off your creativity. And I think it's one that we'll really enjoy going forward.
After working remotely for so long, it's amazing to come into this beautiful space, you know, the creative zones, the collaborative zones. It's just really beautiful, and most importantly, the smiles on everybody's face when they walk into the building, you know, priceless.
I love the diverse and exquisite seating arrangement. You can just pick a corner that works so well for you. Seeing it already just inspires and energizes me to do so much work, and I'm really here for it. I love the new HQ.
As you can see, I love this gym, and it's a place to be. You always want to keep fit. So you can join me every evening here, or maybe your weekend, we can spend it together. So we connect, we collaborate to create the future of work.
After 2 years working from home, this is the most exciting place to be, to burn off the accumulated fats. I can't wait to be fit in order to collaborate and be creative for the future of work.
It's my favorite place in this new building. I find it quite amazing that we can even work here during work hours, and you'll probably find me here most of the time.
Big welcome to our guests that are just making it in. I know the traffic must have been really terrible, but thank you. You're here today. There's still so much that is waiting for you. We've not cut the ribbon yet, so you haven't missed too much.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's nice to be able to gather again, like Mr. said. It's really good to be able to get our stakeholders together to celebrate important milestones in the journey of Guinness Nigeria.
Guests, and today, most importantly, employees of Guinness Nigeria PLC. It's really fantastic to be here on such a special day. I've got a really long job title, but the most important part of it is that I get to look after the Guinness brand all over the world. And Guinness is a famous and iconic brand. It's well known everywhere. But there are two places that are more important than any other for Guinness, our two spiritual homes, which are in Ireland, where I'm based, where Guinness was first created 263 years ago, and the other spiritual home is here in Nigeria.
that is here today. I see a lot of familiar faces, faces that have inspired us, faces that have collaborated with us, faces that have encouraged us, regulators, government agencies, directors, my colleagues on the leadership team of Guinness Nigeria, and of course my distinguished colleagues, employees of Guinness Nigeria. Thank you so very much.
We are on the roll. Guinness is rocking, all right? This is yet another opportunity for us to say to our employees, thank you for all the work that you put in over the last 2 years, and it represents the greatness of the things we shall be doing together in the future. I welcome everybody who has given up their time to come and join us today, and all the institutions that you represent. I cannot name everybody, but we are so grateful to the government regulators, to the local community, to the employees, the contractors, and of course the board that gave me the money for allowing us to have this facility.
I think it's very exciting. A lot of energy coming back. Super smooth, super clean. Truly bringing out the values of what Guinness Nigeria stands for: creativity, innovation. It's really all there. I mean, this one makes me want to come to the office every day. It's so exciting to wake up and know that you have to come to a place that really just sparks off your creativity. And I think it's one that we'll really enjoy going forward.
After working remotely for so long, it's amazing to come into this beautiful space, you know, the creative zones, the collaborative zones. It's just really beautiful, and most importantly, the smiles on everybody's face when they walk into the building, you know, priceless.
I love the diverse and exquisite seating arrangement. You can just pick a corner that works so well for you. Seeing it already just inspires and energizes me to do so much work, and I'm really here for it. I love the new HQ.
As you can see, I love this gym, and it's a place to be. You always want to keep fit. So you can join me every evening here, or maybe your weekend, we can spend it together. So we connect, we collaborate to create the future of work.
After 2 years working from home, this is the most exciting place to be, to burn off the accumulated fats. I can't wait to be fit in order to collaborate and be creative for the future of work.
My favorite place in this new building. I find it quite amazing that we can even work here during work hours, and you'll probably find me here most of the time.
Big welcome to our guests that are just making it in. I know the traffic must have been really terrible, but thank you. You're here today. There's still so much that is waiting for you. We've not cut the ribbon yet, so you haven't missed too much.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's nice to be able to gather again, like Priscilla said. It's really good to be able to get our stakeholders together to celebrate important milestones in the journey of Guinness Nigeria.
Guests, and today, most importantly, employees of Guinness Nigeria PLC. It's really fantastic to be here on such a special day. I've got a really long job title, but the most important part of it is that I get to look after the Guinness brand all over the world. And Guinness is a famous an iconic brand. It's well known everywhere, but there are two places that are more important than any other for Guinness, our two spiritual homes, which are in Ireland, where I'm based, where Guinness was first created 263 years ago, and the other spiritual home is here in Nigeria.
That is here today. I see a lot of familiar faces, faces that have inspired us, faces that have collaborated with us, faces that have encouraged us, regulators, government agencies, directors, my colleagues on the leadership team of Guinness Nigeria, and of course my distinguished colleagues, employees of Guinness Nigeria. Thank you so very much.
We are on the roll. Guinness is rocking, all right? This is yet another opportunity for us to say to our employees, thank you for all the work that you put in over the last 2 years, and it represents the greatness of the things we shall be doing together in the future. I welcome everybody who has given up their time to come and join us today, and all the institutions that you represent. I cannot name everybody, but we are so grateful to the government regulators, to the local community, to the employees, the contractors, and of course the board that gave me the money for allowing us to have this facility.
I think it's very exciting. A lot of energy coming back. Super smooth, super clean. Truly bringing out the values of what Guinness Nigeria stands for: creativity, innovation. It's really all there. I mean, this one makes me want to come to the office every day. It's so exciting to wake up and know that you have to come to a place that really just sparks off your creativity. And I think it's one that we'll really enjoy going forward.
After working remotely for so long, it's amazing to come into this beautiful space, you know, the creative zones, the collaborative zones. It's just really beautiful, and most importantly, the smiles on everybody's face when they walk into the building, you know, priceless.
I love the diverse and exquisite seating arrangement. You can just pick a corner that works so well for you. Seeing it already just inspires and energizes me to do so much work, and I'm really here for it. I love the new HQ.
As you can see, I love this gym, and it's a place to be. You always want to keep fit. So you can join me every evening here, or maybe your weekend, we can spend it together. So we connect, we collaborate to create the future of work.
After 2 years working from home, this is the most exciting place to be, to burn off the accumulated fats. I can't wait to be fit in order to collaborate and be creative for the future of work.
My favorite place in this new building. I find it quite amazing that we can even work here during work hours, and you'll probably find me here most of the time.
Big welcome to our guests that are just making it in. I know the traffic must have been really terrible, but thank you. You're here today. There's still so much that is waiting for you. We've not cut the ribbon yet, so you haven't missed too much. You know,
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's nice to be able to gather again, like Priscilla said. It's really good to be able to get our stakeholders together to celebrate important milestones in the journey of Guinness Nigeria.
Distinguished guests, and today, most importantly, employees of Guinness Nigeria PLC. It's really fantastic to be here on such a special day. I've got a really long job title, but the most important part of it is that I get to look after the Guinness brand all over the world. And Guinness is a famous and iconic brand. It's well known everywhere, but there are two places that are more important than any other for Guinness, our two spiritual homes, which are in Ireland, where I'm based, where Guinness was first created 263 years ago, and the other spiritual home is here in Nigeria.
Everybody that is here today, I see a lot of familiar faces, faces that have inspired us, faces that have collaborated with us, faces that have encouraged us, regulators, government agencies, directors, my colleagues on the leadership team of Guinness Nigeria, and of course my distinguished colleagues, employees of Guinness Nigeria. Thank you so very much.
We are on the roll. Guinness is rocking, all right? This is yet another opportunity for us to say to our employees, thank you for all the work that you put in over the last 2 years, and it represents the greatness of the things we shall be doing together in the future. I welcome everybody who has given up their time to come and join us today, and all the institutions that you represent. I cannot name everybody, but we are so grateful to the government regulators, to the local community, to the employees, the contractors, and of course the board that gave me the money for allowing us to have this facility.
I think it's very exciting. A lot of energy coming back. Super smooth, super clean. Truly bringing out the values of what Guinness Nigeria stands for: creativity, innovation. It's really all there. I mean, this one makes me want to come to the office every day. It's so exciting to wake up and know that you have to come to a place that really just sparks off your creativity. And I think it's one that we'll really enjoy going forward.
After working remotely for so long, it's amazing to come into this beautiful space, you know, the creative zones, the collaborative zones. It's just really beautiful, and most importantly, the smiles on everybody's face when they walk into the building, you know, priceless.
I love the diverse and exquisite seating arrangement. You can just pick a corner that works so well for you. Seeing it already just inspires, energizes me to do so much work, and I'm really here for it. I love the new HQ.
As you can see, I love this gym, and it's a place to be. You always want to keep fit. So you can join me every evening here, or maybe your weekend, we can spend it together. So we connect, we collaborate to create the future of work.
After 2 years working from home, this is the most exciting place to be, to burn off the accumulated fats. I can't wait to be fit in order to collaborate and be creative for the future of work.
My favorite place in this new building. I find it quite amazing that we can even work here during work hours, and you'll probably find me here most of the time.
A big welcome to our guests that are just making it in. I know the traffic must have been really terrible, but thank you. You're here today. There's still so much that is waiting for you. We've not cut the ribbon yet, so you haven't missed too much.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's nice to be able to gather again, like Priscilla said. It's really good to be able to get our stakeholders together to celebrate important milestones in the journey of Guinness Nigeria.
Distinguished guests, and today, most importantly, employees of Guinness Nigeria PLC. It's really fantastic to be here on such a special day. I've got a really long job title, but the most important part of it is that I get to look after the Guinness brand all over the world. And Guinness is a famous and iconic brand. It's well known everywhere, but there are two places that are more important than any other for Guinness. Our two spiritual homes, which are in Ireland, where I'm based, where Guinness was first created 263 years ago, and the other spiritual home is here in Nigeria.
Everybody that is here today, I see a lot of familiar faces, faces that have inspired us, faces that have collaborated with us, faces that have encouraged us, regulators, government agencies, directors, my colleagues on the leadership team of Guinness Nigeria, and of course my distinguished colleagues, employees of Guinness Nigeria. Thank you so very much.
We are on the roll. Guinness is rocking, all right? This is yet another opportunity for us to say to our employees, thank you for all the work that you put in over the last 2 years, and it represents the greatness of the things we shall be doing together in the future. I welcome everybody who has given up their time to come and join us today, and all the institutions that you represent. I cannot name everybody, but we are so grateful to the government regulators, to the local community, to the employees, the contractors, and of course the board that gave me the money for allowing us to have this facility.
I think it's very exciting. A lot of energy coming back. Super smooth, super clean. Truly bringing out the values of what Guinness Nigeria stands for: creativity, innovation. It's really all there. I mean, this one makes me want to come to the office every day. It's so exciting to wake up and know that you have to come to a place that really just sparks off your creativity. And I think it's one that we'll really enjoy going forward.
After working remotely for so long, it's amazing to come into this beautiful space. You know, the creative zones, the collaborative zones. It's just really beautiful, and most importantly, the smiles on everybody's face when they walk into the building, you know, priceless.
I love the diverse and exquisite seating arrangement. You can just pick a corner that works so well for you. Seeing it already just inspires, energizes me to do so much work, and I'm really here for it. I love the new HQ.
As you can see, I love this gym, and it's a place to be. You always want to keep fit. So you can join me every evening here, or maybe your weekend, we can spend it together. So we connect, we collaborate to create the future of work.
After 2 years working from home, this is the most exciting place to be, to burn off the accumulated fats. I can't wait to be fit in order to collaborate and be creative for the future of work.
This is my favorite place in this new building. I find it quite amazing that we can even work here during work hours, and you'll probably find me here most of the time.
big welcome to our guests that are just making it in. I know the traffic must have been really terrible, but thank you. You're here today. There's still so much that is waiting for you. We've not cut the ribbon yet, so you haven't missed too much.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's nice to be able to gather again, like Priscilla said. It's really good to be able to get our stakeholders together to celebrate important milestones in the journey of Guinness Nigeria.
Distinguished guests, and today, most importantly, employees of Guinness Nigeria PLC. It's really fantastic to be here on such a special day. I've got a really long job title, but the most important part of it is that I get to look after the Guinness brand all over the world. And Guinness is a famous and iconic brand. It's well known everywhere, but there are two places that are more important than any other for Guinness, our two spiritual homes, which are in Ireland, where I'm based, where Guinness was first created 263 years ago, and the other spiritual home is here in Nigeria.
Everybody that is here today, I see a lot of familiar faces, faces that have inspired us, faces that have collaborated with us, faces that have encouraged us, regulators, government agencies, directors, my colleagues on the leadership team of Guinness Nigeria, and of course my distinguished colleagues, employees of Guinness Nigeria. Thank you so very much.
We are on the roll. Guinness is rocking, all right? This is yet another opportunity for us to say to our employees, thank you for all the work that you put in over the last 2 years, and it represents the greatness of the things we shall be doing together in the future. I welcome everybody who has given up their time to come and join us today, and all the institutions that you represent. I cannot name everybody, but we are so grateful to the government regulators, to the local community, to the employees, the contractors, and of course the board that gave me the money for allowing us to have this facility.
I think it's very exciting. A lot of energy coming back. Super smooth, super clean. Truly bringing out the values of what Guinness Nigeria stands for: creativity, innovation. It's really all there. I mean, this one makes me want to come to the office every day. It's so exciting to wake up and know that you have to come to a place that really just sparks off your creativity. And I think it's one that we'll really enjoy going forward.
After working remotely for so long, it's amazing to come into this beautiful space. You know, the creative zones, the collaborative zones. It's just really beautiful, and most importantly, the smiles on everybody's face when they walk into the building, you know, priceless.
I love the diverse and exquisite seating arrangement. You can just pick a corner that works so well for you. Seeing it already just inspires and energizes me to do so much work, and I'm really here for it. I love the new HQ.
As you can see, I love this gym, and it's a place to be. You always want to keep fit. So you can join me every evening here, or maybe your weekend, we can spend it together. So we connect, we collaborate to create the future of work.
After 2 years working from home, this is the most exciting place to be, to burn off the accumulated fats. I can't wait to be fit in order to collaborate and be creative for the future of work.
It's my favorite place in this new building. I find it quite amazing that we can even work here during work hours, and you'll probably find me here most of the time.
big welcome to our guests that are just making it in. I know the traffic must have been really terrible, but thank you. You're here today. There's still so much that is waiting for you. We've not cut the ribbon yet, so you haven't missed too much.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's nice to be able to gather again, like Priscilla said. It's really good to be able to get our stakeholders together to celebrate important milestones in the journey of Guinness Nigeria.
Distinguished guests, and today, most importantly, employees of Guinness Nigeria PLC. It's really fantastic to be here on such a special day. I've got a really long job title, but the most important part of it is that I get to look after the Guinness brand all over the world. And Guinness is a famous and iconic brand. It's well known everywhere, but there are two places that are more important than any other for Guinness, our two spiritual homes, which are in Ireland, where I'm based, where Guinness was first created 263 years ago, and the other spiritual home is here in Nigeria.
Everybody that is here today, I see a lot of familiar faces, faces that have inspired us, faces that have collaborated with us, faces that have encouraged us, regulators, government agencies, directors, my colleagues on the leadership team of Guinness Nigeria, and of course my distinguished colleagues, employees of Guinness Nigeria. Thank you so very much.
We are on the roll. Guinness is rocking, all right? This is yet another opportunity for us to say to our employees, thank you for all the work that you put in over the last 2 years, and it represents the greatness of the things we shall be doing together in the future. I welcome everybody who has given up their time to come and join us today, and all the institutions that you represent. I cannot name everybody, but we are so grateful to the government regulators, to the local community, to the employees, the contractors, and of course the board that gave me the money for allowing us to have this facility.
I think it's very exciting. A lot of energy coming back. Super smooth, super clean. Truly bringing out the values of what Guinness Nigeria stands for: creativity, innovation. It's really all there. I mean, this one makes me want to come to the office every day. It's so exciting to wake up and know that you have to come to a place that really just sparks off your creativity. And I think it's one that we'll really enjoy going forward.
After working remotely for so long, it's amazing to come into this beautiful space, you know, the creative zones, the collaborative zones. It's just really beautiful, and most importantly, the smiles on everybody's face when they walk into the building, you know, priceless.
I love the diverse and exquisite seating arrangement. You can just pick a corner that works so well for you. Seeing it already just inspires, energizes me to do so much work, and I'm really here for it. I love the new HQ.
As you can see, I love this gym, and it's a place to be. You always want to keep fit. So you can join me every evening here, or maybe your weekend, we can spend it together. So we connect, we collaborate to create the future of work.
After 2 years working from home, this is the most exciting place to be, to burn off the accumulated fats. I can't wait to be fit in order to collaborate and be creative for the future of work.
My favorite place in this new building. I find it quite amazing that we can even work here during work hours, and you'll probably find me here most of the time.
Big welcome to our guests that are just making it in. I know the traffic must have been really terrible, but thank you. You're here today. There's still so much that is waiting for you. We've not cut the ribbon yet, so you haven't missed too much.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's nice to be able to gather again, like Priscilla said. It's really good to be able to get our stakeholders together to celebrate important milestones in the journey of Guinness Nigeria.
Guests, and today, most importantly, employees of Guinness Nigeria PLC. It's really fantastic to be here on such a special day. I've got a really long job title, but the most important part of it is that I get to look after the Guinness brand all over the world. And Guinness is a famous and iconic brand. It's well known everywhere. But there are two places that are more important than any other for Guinness, our two spiritual homes, which are in Ireland, where I'm based, where Guinness was first created 263 years ago, and the other spiritual home is here in Nigeria.
That is here today. I see a lot of familiar faces, faces that have inspired us, faces that have collaborated with us, faces that have encouraged us, regulators, government agencies, directors, my colleagues on the leadership team of Guinness Nigeria, and of course my distinguished colleagues, employees of Guinness Nigeria. Thank you so very much.
We are on the roll. Guinness is rocking, all right? This is yet another opportunity for us to say to our employees, thank you for all the work that you put in over the last 2 years, and it represents the greatness of the things we shall be doing together in the future. I welcome everybody who has given up their time to come and join us today, and all the institutions that you represent. I cannot name everybody, but we are so grateful to the government regulators, to the local community, to the employees, the contractors, and of course the board that gave me the money for allowing us to have this facility.
I think it's very exciting. A lot of energy coming back. Super smooth, super clean. Truly bringing out the values of what Guinness Nigeria stands for: creativity, innovation. It's really all there. I mean, this one makes me want to come to the office every day. It's so exciting to wake up and know that you have to come to a place that really just sparks off your creativity. And I think it's one that we'll really enjoy going forward.
After working remotely for so long, it's amazing to come into this beautiful space. You know, the creative zones, the collaborative zones. It's just really beautiful, and most importantly, the smiles on everybody's face when they walk into the building, you know, priceless.
I love the diverse and exquisite seating arrangement. You can just pick a corner that works so well for you. Seeing it already just inspires, energizes me to do so much work, and I'm really here for it. I love the new HQ.
As you can see, I love this gym, and it's a place to be. You always want to keep fit. So you can join me every evening here, or maybe your weekend, we can spend it together. So we connect, we collaborate to create the future of work.
After 2 years working from home, this is the most exciting place to be, to burn off the accumulated fats. I can't wait to be fit in order to collaborate and be creative for the future of work.
My favorite place in this new building. I find it quite amazing that we can even work here during work hours, and you'll probably find me here most of the time.
welcome to our guests that are just making it in. I know the traffic must have been really terrible, but thank you. You're here today. There's still so much that is waiting for you. We've not cut the ribbon yet, so you haven't missed too much.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's nice to be able to gather again, like Priscilla said. It's really good to be able to get our stakeholders together to celebrate important milestones in the journey of Guinness Nigeria.
Distinguished guests, and today, most importantly, employees of Guinness Nigeria PLC. It's really fantastic to be here on such a special day. I've got a really long job title, but the most important part of it is that I get to look after the Guinness brand all over the world. And Guinness is a famous and iconic brand. It's well known everywhere, but there are two places that are more important than any other for Guinness, our two spiritual homes, which are in Ireland, where I'm based, where Guinness was first created 263 years ago, and the other spiritual home is here in Nigeria.
Everybody that is here today, I see a lot of familiar faces, faces that have inspired us, faces that have collaborated with us, faces that have encouraged us, regulators, government agencies, directors, my colleagues on the leadership team of Guinness Nigeria, and of course my distinguished colleagues, employees of Guinness Nigeria. Thank you so very much.
We are on the roll. Guinness is rocking, all right? This is yet another opportunity for us to say to our employees, thank you for all the work that you put in over the last 2 years, and it represents the greatness of the things we shall be doing together in the future. I welcome everybody who has given up their time to come and join us today, and all the institutions that you represent. I cannot name everybody, but we are so grateful to the government regulators, to the local community, to the employees, the contractors, and of course the board that gave me the money for allowing us to have this facility.
I think it's very exciting. A lot of energy coming back. Super smooth, super clean. Truly bringing out the values of what Guinness Nigeria stands for: creativity, innovation. It's really all there. I mean, this one makes me want to come to the office every day. It's so exciting to wake up and know that you have to come to a place that really just sparks off your creativity. And I think it's one that we'll really enjoy going forward.
After working remotely for so long, it's amazing to come into this beautiful space. You know, the creative zones, the collaborative zones. It's just really beautiful, and most importantly, the smiles on everybody's face when they walk into the building, you know, priceless.
I love the diverse and exquisite seating arrangement. You can just pick a corner that works so well for you. Seeing it already just inspires and energizes me to do so much work, and I'm really here for it. I love the new HQ.
As you can see, I love this gym, and it's a place to be. You always want to keep fit. So you can join me every evening here, or maybe your weekend, we can spend it together. So we connect, we collaborate to create the future of work.
After 2 years working from home, this is the most exciting place to be, to burn off the accumulated fats. I can't wait to be fit in order to collaborate and be creative for the future of work.
This is my favorite place in this new building. I find it quite amazing that we can even work here during work hours, and you'll probably find me here most of the time.
big welcome to our guests that are just making it in. I know the traffic must have been really terrible, but thank you. You're here today. There's still so much that is waiting for you. We've not cut the ribbon yet, so you haven't missed too much.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's nice to be able to
Distinguished shareholders, members of the Statutory Audit Committee, representatives of the regulatory authorities here present, the Securities and Exchange Commission, Nigerian Exchange Limited, and the Corporate Affairs Commission, our professional partners, Veritas registrars, and PricewaterhouseCoopers, respected media practitioners, ladies and gentlemen, and those joining us online. The time is now 11:05. I have been informed that we have quorum, and on behalf of the board and management, I'm delighted to welcome you all to the 72nd Annual General Meeting of Guinness Nigeria, which I now declare open. The 72nd Annual General Meeting is being held by proxy, further to the approval received from the Corporate Affairs Commission. The AGM is being streamed live for our esteemed shareholders, regulators, observers, and the investing public who cannot all be physically present. We have assured our regulators that we shall keep to all federal and state guidelines on public gathering and social distancing to minimize personal contact and prevent the possible spread of the virus as we continue to monitor the pandemic. Hence, we shall be observing all relevant precautionary protocols and making an effort to conclude the proceedings in a timely manner. We therefore crave the support of all present to help us achieve this. There are 12 items of business on the agenda of the meeting before us this morning. The modalities for voting on the resolutions during the meeting will be explained to shareholders present here in person and as proxies by registrars during the proceedings. The Register of Directors' Holdings is available for inspection during the meeting in compliance with Section 301, subsection 8 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020. Before moving to the more formal matters on the agenda, I would like to take this opportunity to introduce to you the Board of Directors. I will start with the directors who are physically present at this meeting. I am Dr. Omobola Johnson, the board chair of our company. On my immediate left is Mr. Baker Magunda, our Managing Director, Chief Executive Officer. Next to Mr. Magunda is Mr. Emmanuel Difom, our recently appointed Finance and Strategy Director. I would also like to introduce the other directors. Ms. Ngozi Edozie, a Finance and Investment and Management Consultant and Independent Non-Executive Director. Mrs. Yemisi Ayeni, an Accountant and Independent Non-Executive Director. Professor Fabian Ajogu, a renowned Senior Advocate of Nigeria and Professor of Law, an Independent Non-Executive Director. Mrs. Tariye Badegeshi, an investment professional and a recently appointed Independent Non-Executive Director. Ambassador Sunday T. Dogoyaro, a retired diplomat and public policy expert and Independent Non-Executive Director. Mr. Leo Breen, the Finance Director for Diageo Africa and a Non-Executive Director. Mr. Mark Sands, the Chief Innovation Officer, Diageo, and a Non-Executive Director. I would also like to introduce the other directors who are attending this meeting virtually. Mr. Dialan Nayaga, President, Diageo Africa, and recently appointed Vice Board Chair of Guinness Nigeria. I would also like to introduce the shareholders present who are also proxies for other shareholders of the company who cannot be physically present at this meeting due to COVID-19 restrictions. They are myself, the board chair, Mr. Baker Magunda, Professor Fabian Ajogu, Ms. Ngozi Edozie, Sir Sonny Nwosu, Mr. Nona Awo, Mr. Patrick Ajudua, Chief Timothy Adesina, Mrs. Bisi Bakare, Dr. Anthony Omojola, Honorable Bright Mwabogu, Barrister Adetutu Shinyobola, Mrs. Efunyemi Olatunde Obideyi, Mr. Matthew Akinlade, Alhaja Sarata Balogun, Mrs. Esther Augustine. I would also like to introduce the shareholders' representative and chairman of the Statutory Audit Committee, Mr. Moses Igrude, an astute business analyst, and sitting next to him is Mr. George Ibade, an experienced lawyer. Next to Mr. Ibade is Mazi Nnamdi Okwadibu, a chartered accountant and former president of the Council of ICANN. Our auditors, Mrs. PricewaterhouseCoopers, are also represented here, by Mr. Edafe Ehie, the audit engagement partner, and our registrars, Veritas Registrars Limited, led by Mr. Okonkwo, the registrar. We of course recognize and appreciate the presence of regulators, including the Nigerian Exchange Limited, represented by Leland Daku, the Securities and Exchange Commission, represented by Amina Musa Tanko, and the Corporate Affairs Commission, represented by Mrs. Fumi Ajewole. I now call on the Company Secretary, Mr. Rotimi Odushola, to read the notice of the meeting.
Thank you, ma'am. Good morning, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, and esteemed shareholders, both in the room as well as those who are joining us virtually. Thank you very much. Notice of the annual general meeting. Notice is hereby given that the 72nd annual general meeting of the members of Guinness Nigeria PLC will be held at the Idera Hall of the Radisson Blue Anchorage Hotel, located at number 1A Ozumbambadiwe Avenue, Victoria Island, Lagos, on Tuesday, 25th of October 2022 at 11 a.m. in the forenoon to transact the following businesses. 1, ordinary business. To lay the report of the directors, the financial statements for the year ended 30th June 2022, and the reports of the independent auditors and the statutory audit committee thereon. To declare a dividend. To approve the appointment of Mr. Emmanuel Difom as an executive director, Mr. Deyalan Nayaga as a non-executive director, and Mrs. Tariye Gbadegeshi as an independent non-executive director. To elect and re-elect directors. To disclose remuneration of managers of the company. To authorize directors to fix the remuneration of the independent auditors. To elect members of the statutory audit committee. And on special businesses, to fix the remuneration of the directors, to consider and, if thought fit, pass the following resolution as special resolution of the company. Namely, that pursuant to Article 9 and 50 of the company's Memorandum and Articles of Association, the directors be and are hereby authorized to take steps to comply with the requirements of Section 124 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020 and the Companies Regulations 2021 in respect of the unissued shares of the company by effecting cancellation of all unissued shares of the company. Pursuant to the cancellation of the unissued shares of the company in item 9 above, the memorandum of association of the company be and is hereby amended by deleting clause 5 and substituting it with the following new clause. Quote, that the share capital of the company is 1,095,191,409 naira 50 kobo divided into 2,190,382,819 ordinary shares of 50 kobo each. 11. That the directors be and are hereby authorized to enter into and execute any agreements, deeds, notices, and any other documents necessary for and or incidental to effecting Resolution 9 above. That the directors of the company or any one of them for the time being be and are hereby authorized to appoint such professional parties and advisors and to perform all such other acts and do all such other things as may be necessary for or incidental to effecting the above resolutions, including without limitation, complying with the directives of any regulatory authority. to consider and, if thought fit, pass the following resolution as an ordinary resolution of the company. That in compliance with the rules of the Nigerian Stock Exchange, now known as the Nigerian Exchange Limited, governing transactions with related parties or interested persons, the general mandate granted to the company in respect of all recurring transactions entered into with a related party or interested person, which are of a revenue or trading nature or are necessary for the company's day-to-day operations, including but not limited to the procurement of goods and services or normal commercial terms, on normal commercial terms, be and is hereby renewed. And on proxy, in view of the continuing apprehensions about the menace of the COVID-19 pandemic and reports of other emerging variants of the virus, attendance at the annual general meeting shall only be by proxy following the approval of the Corporate Affairs Commission. All members of the company entitled to attend and vote are advised to select and appoint from the unlisted proposed proxies to attend and vote in their stead. The proxy list is as follows. Number 1, Dr. Omobola Johnson, Mr. Baker Magunda, Professor Fabian Ajogu, SAN, OFR, Ms. Ngozi Edozian, Mrs. Bisi Bakari, Sir Sonin Wosu, Mr. Nona Awo, Mr. Patrick Ajudua, Dr. Anthony Omojola, Honorable Bright Nwabugogo, Barrister Adetutu Shiobola, Chief Timothy Adesina, Mrs. Efunyemi Olatunde Obidei, Mr. Matthew Akinlade, Alhaja Sarata Balogun, and Mrs. Esther Augustine. A form of proxy is enclosed, and if it is to be valid for the purposes of the meeting, it must be completed and deposited at the office of the registrar, that's Veritas Registrars Limited, at plot 89A at Jose Adeogun Street, Victoria Island, Lagos, not less than 48 hours before the time for holding the meeting. The company will bear the cost of stamping duly completed proxy forms submitted within the stipulated timeline. Number 2, on closure of register. The register of members and transfer book will be closed from the 26th September 2022 to the 30th of September 2022, both days inclusive, for the purpose of updating the register of members. Number 3, on dividend payment. If the payment of a dividend is approved, it is intended that the payment of the dividend will be made on Wednesday, the 26th October 2022, to holders of shares whose names appear on the register of members on Friday, the 23rd September 2022. On statutory audit committee, in accordance with section 404, subsection 6 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020, a nomination in writing by any member or a shareholder for appointment to the statutory audit committee should reach the company secretary at least 21 days before the date of the annual general meeting. Number 5, on unclaimed dividends. Shareholders are hereby informed that some dividend warrants have been returned to the registrar as unclaimed, while some have neither been presented to the banks for payment nor to the registrars for revalidation. A list of such unclaimed dividends will be circulated with the annual reports and the financial statements, and is also available on our website, that is www.guinness-nigeria.com. Affected members are by this notice advised to contact the registrars at Veritas Registrars Limited, 89 Ajoste Adeogun Street, Victoria Island, Lagos, PO Box 75315 Victoria Island, or via email at enquiry@veritasregistrars.com. Number 6, on dividend. Notice is hereby given to all shareholders to open bank accounts for the purpose of dividend payment. A detachable e-dividend payment mandate and change of address form is attached to the annual report to enable shareholders furnish particulars of their bank and CSCS account numbers to the registrar. The e-dividend payment mandate form is also available on our website, guinnessnigeria.com, as well as at the website of our registrars, veritasregistrars.com. Number 7, on general mandate circular. A circular on the resolution of shareholders' renewal of the general mandate for recurrent transactions with related parties, which provides the rationale for the mandate sought, is included in the annual report and financial statements. And number 8, on the rights of securities holders to ask questions. Securities holders have a right to ask questions not only at the meeting, but also in writing prior to the meeting, and such questions must be submitted to the company secretary on or before the 10th October 2022. This notice was dated the 27th day of July, and it was issued by the order of the board under the hand of my humble self as company secretary. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Odushola. Before we proceed further, I wish to draw the attention of the shareholders to the continuing apprehensions about the menace of COVID-19 pandemic and reports of other emergent variants of the virus. We are to comply with constraints imposed by the continued apprehensions about the pandemic, which has caused a health hazard. We have also ensured that the venue has been adequately decontaminated with appropriate hand-washing facilities available, and that all present have been provided with personal protective equipment such as face masks and hand sanitizers. It is our hope that the gathering here today and the measures put in place will support the government's efforts in preventing any further delay of the virus. We thank everyone for their cooperation in that regard. My report on our company's activities and progress as at 30th June 2022 are contained on pages 9 to 14 of the annual report, containing the board share statement, which has already been circulated to all shareholders. Therefore, I request that we take this report as read. Thank you. I will now ask a representative of the auditors to read the auditor's report, while the chairman of the Statutory Audit Committee will read the committee's report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Distinguished shareholders, Board of Directors, with your permission, I will read the abridged version if you're happy with that. First 2 paragraphs and the last. Thank you very much. Our reports are on page 82 to 86 of the annual report. Report on the audit of the financial statements. In our opinion, Guinness Nigeria PLC company financial statement give a true and fair view of the financial position of the company as at 30th June 2022 and of its financial performance and its cash flow for the year then ended in accordance with International Financial Reporting Standard and the requirement of the Companies and Allied Matters Act and the Financial Reporting Council of Nigeria's Act. What have we audited? Guinness Nigeria PLC financial statement comprises 1, the statement of financial position as of 30th June 2022, the income statement for the year then ended, the statement of comprehensive income for the year then ended, the statement of changes in equity for the year then ended, the statement of cash flows for the year then ended, and the note to the financial statement, which include a summary of significant accounting policy. Basis for our opinion, we conducted our audits in accordance with international standard on auditing. Our responsibilities under those standards are further described in the auditor's responsibility paragraph for the audit of the financial statement section of this report. We believe that the audit evidence we have obtained is sufficient and appropriate to provide a basis for our opinion. Independence. We are independent of the company in accordance with International Code of Ethics for Professional Accountants, including International Independent Standard, that is the IESBA code issued by the International Ethics Standard Board for Accountants. We have fulfilled our other ethical responsibility in accordance with the IESBA code. I'll go to the last paragraph. That's the last page. Report on other legal and regulatory requirements. The Companies and Allied Matters Act requires that in carrying out our audit, we consider and report back to you shareholders on the following matters. We therefore confirm that 1, we have obtained all the information and explanation which to the best of our knowledge and belief were necessary for the purpose of our audits. The company has kept proper books of account so far as appeared from our examination of those books, and return adequate for our audit have been received from branches not visited by us. The company's statement of financial position, income statement, and statement of comprehensive income are in agreement with the books of account and return received. Signed by my humble self, Idafiri, on behalf of PricewaterhouseCoopers, dated 28 July 2022. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. I now call on Mr. Moses Igrude.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The board, management, and shareholders are present. The audit committee report is on page 79. I wrote, report of the statutory audit committee to the member of Guinness Nigeria PLC for the year ended 30th June 2022. In compliance with section 404 subsection 7 of the Company and Allied Matters Act, we have A, review the scope and planning of the audit requirements. B, review the external auditor's memorandum of recommendation on accounting policies and internal control together with management responses. And C, ascertain that the accounting and reporting policy of the company for the year ended 30th June 2022 are in accordance with legal requirements and agree ethical practices. In our opinion, the scope and planning of the audit for the year ended 30th June 2022 were adequate, and the management's responses to the audit's findings were satisfactory. Signed by me, Mr. Igrude Moses, with financial reporting number or the 055585. Chairman on the 26th July 2022. Members of the Statutory Audit Committee, please, when I mention your name, please stand and take a bow for the shareholder present. Mr. G.O. Ibade. Mr. Unandi Kwadibo, FCA, is not around. He's from Port Harcourt. Mrs. Z. Abraham, she has retired from the board. And N. Edozie, Director. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to serve you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Igrude. Voting for the resolutions today will be taken electronically, and each shareholder has been given a voting device, and the results will be displayed on the live streaming of the meeting for shareholders not physically present. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now continue with item 1 on the agenda. As copies of the annual report on financial statements for year ended 30th June 2022 have been with you for the statutory period, I would now like to formally lay before the meeting the audited financial statements for the year ended 30th June 2022, together with the report of directors thereon. Would someone please rise and second the motion?
I, Matthew Akinlade, I second that motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Akinlade. We should be pleased to answer any questions that you may have on this report before we proceed to the next item on the agenda. To enable us to respond to your questions, it would help if you refer to the page of the report and audited financials to which your question or comment relates. Members should please be brief and limit their questions to 1 or 2. And please give your full name over the microphone and state your question clearly. Mr. Akinlade, I'll start with you.
The chairman, board members, regulatory authorities here present, my colleagues, esteemed shareholders, good morning. My name is Matthew Akinlade, President of Nigerian Shareholders Solidarity Association. First and foremost, I want to congratulate the board, member of the board, and management of Guinness Nigerian PLC for exceptional performance in the year that ended June 2022 that we are reviewing. I'm saying it is exceptional because we have, despite the fact that COVID is not entirely out, and with all the economic challenges in Nigeria, we grew our revenue by 29%. And when we look at the profit before tax, from 1.25 billion to 15.6 billion. This is marvelous, and it is great. And I congratulate all of you for this. And I want to especially congratulate the Managing Director, Mr. Magunda, for this outstanding performance, and his team for this outstanding performance, especially at the time he's taking his exit from the company. So for me, he's leaving his footprint on the side of time by leaving a legacy of exceptional performance. When I look at 5-year summary on page 151, 2022 performance is the best in the past 5 years. And I also went further to look at dividend and profit performance over the past few years. So far, the dividend declared this year is the best since 2012. So can we give them a loud applause? So, and I want to praise the dividend policy of the company, because we are virtually paying all the earning per share. The earning per share of the company is 7.15 naira, and we are paying 7.14, which gladdens the heart of shareholders. A lot of us are retirees, and what we depend on is our investment. So we want to say big thank you to you, and we implore you to continue on this trajectory. We will continue to pray for our company. You will continue to move from strength to strength. Few things I look at, we are doing well, but at the same time, we should continue to focus on further improvement. When I look at the chairman's statement on page 10, she specifically mentioned new production line launched at Ogba Brewery to increase the capacity of the company, and other innovations and capacity improvement strategies of the company, which I believe will ensure the sustainability of our performance this year and probably have further improvement. So I want to say we should continue on this. We will do everything possible to continue to support our directors, to continue to do good job and return good return to us. I also want to welcome the new directors that have just been appointed, and to appreciate the directors who have just exited, who have retired. We pray that God will continue to be with them, and they will continue to do well in their future endeavors. Few things I noted. Chairman, I I note your comment when you said 1 or 2 questions. I appreciate it. I'm not going to take your time. But this is one time that we have in a year as shareholder to be here. So you will tolerate us. It won't be much. Looking at page 88 in the balance sheet, I look at the inventory from 21 billion. It has grown to 32 billion. I look at that vis-a-vis impairment of stock. Impairment that was 995 million the previous year, that's on page 121, is 1.649 billion in 2022. That's a growth of 65%. So when I look at that vis-a-vis the growth in inventory, I have fear about risk of obsolescence and continuous growth in impairment. So I want us to have a review of this critically to make sure that, yes, we want to have adequate stock to run our business, but we should also take cognizance of obsolescence if you have to hold some stock, especially spares, for so long. So let's please watch that. Page 88 again. I thank God for this company for being liquid. I look at our cash and cash equivalent. On page 88 is 69 billion as against 35.8 billion. And when I look at trade and other payable, more or less equivalent to the cash and cash in hand, which is 69 billion compared with 61 billion the previous year. I want to believe a big chunk of this cash will be probably deposit for foreign exchange. I know that it's a big issue, especially for manufacturing businesses that have to bring their raw material from overseas, and with the tight situation of obtaining stock. So just let's continue to maintain a good balance to ensure that we just don't keep so much liquid cash that is not anything. Looking at the loans and borrowing, some growth from about 16 billion to 30 billion. But given our size of business, I believe this is not bad. Overall, I look at our balance sheet. The company is solid and is doing well. Unlike some few years ago that you have so much borrowing and your finance cost was a lot. So thank you for turning the business around, and I wish the company continuous progress. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Please.
The chairperson of Guinness Nigeria PLC, the members of the board of directors, my fellow shareholders, the regulators here present, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I say good morning to all. My name is Patrick Ajudwa. Mr. Chairperson, I want to join my earlier colleague in not only thanking you and appreciating you and the board, because the performance under consideration is one that we least expect. It's the best performance so far, And that performance have not stopped. Even your Q3, you have improved to over 731%. So shareholders are very happy with you. And it is our prayer that we will continue in this positive trajectory. I also want to congratulate and thank the company secretary and members of their staff for a well-coordinated AGM. They have been responding to most of the inquiries from us as shareholders, and we want to appreciate them very well. We want to also thank Mrs. Zainab and the vice chairman who are leaving the board. We pray that God in his mercy will continue to guide them in their future endeavor. I will take you quickly to page 2. And there I want to commend the improved financial performance, which saw the bottom line closing at 15.6 billion, despite the effect of socio-economic pressure on revenue, such as inflation, which is at 20.7, the high interest rate at 20.2, and the rising exchange rate now is going to about 750 naira to a dollar. Mr. Chairperson, I also want to commend you on page 61. And on that page, I could see more of development in human capital, whereby we saw about 9 women graduate from Diego Bar Academy. This is a further improvement in your desire to ensure gender balance and also inclusion initiative. They have talked about dividend, and we cannot stop at that because to us, Guinness have laid a very solid foundation of paying over 99% of their earning per share. Please, let's give a round of applause to the board of Guinness. On page 19, I want to draw your attention and also that of Professor Fabian. I think you are also here with me on the issue of directors and their interests. On that page, out of 11 directors, only 2 directors were said to own shares in the company. Even if you are a non-independent director, I believe that the law permits you to own shares in the company you are. And as such, I don't know why, but we'll be calling on the directors who are not owning shares to please go and buy shares. It's a mark of commitment. It's a mark of dedication. And it's a mark to show us that you are also much interested in the affairs of the company. My question and my worry is, how do you hope to address the effect of inflationary pressure on sales volume growth, the devaluation of the currency, which have negatively impacted imported raw material? We have also seen the high cost in the freight and also a shift to a more expensive camp product by the customers. I will also want to ask you, how do you hope to leverage on technology to optimize your optimize your reach out to your consumers in terms of satisfying your customers and also to improve your cash sales? I'm a little bit worried under page 88 and page 89. Much was said that under page 89, we made a tax payment, and I'm sure the CFO is also very watchful of that, of over 8 billion in the year under consideration. Whereas on page 88, we are still having a current tax liability rising from 992 million to 8.7 million. I'm worried because it's very high. An effort must be made to address this on time. On page 111 is the revenue segmentation page. I want to commend the sales growth in Nigeria. But my question is, what are we doing to improve exports of these products? Because that in itself will give us an edge against the foreign FS rates. I commend the growth in the Malta Guinness and Guinness, the strong growth in local and imported spirits, and the ready-to-drink category. The growth reflects the increase in prices taken across all brand categories. And I will be asking, how do you hope to sustain this level of performance and ensure consistent growth to the admiration of all your stakeholders? I will be concluding, Mr. Chairman, that much has been said about our improved performance. But I'll draw your attention to page 89, where we recorded a reduction in net finance costs by about 94% as a result of reduction in the net interest cost and investment of excess Naira cash in fixed deposits. So the challenge before you as the chairperson this morning is to, one, first address it to government that there is need for the federal government to establish a special window for forest for manufacturers in terms of sourcing of their forest demands. Number two, there is need for Guinness to establish a plant in Abuja to cater for the northern region. Number three, Guinness needs, as a corporate body, to also intervene in this flood situation in the country, in Nigeria. Most of this will affect our truck, and as such, we cannot assume not to do anything. So our CSR should go in that direction this year. Much is better given to relieve those who are affected by flood. And finally, Mr. Chairperson, there is need to make money from leased asset disposal of PP&M and sale of byproducts, which serves as a booster to our bottom line. This in itself will improve our revenue. And by the grace of God, we are going to look forward to an interim dividend this year, Mr. Chairperson.
Thank you.
Give us that affirmation that you are going to give us an interim dividend.
I am, Mr. Judah, I'm sure you know I cannot do that. Thank you very much for your
So
comments.
by so doing, we'll be
you.
very glad and we're very happy because, as you said, the difficulty is we need cash as one of your investors.
Thank you, Mr. Judah.
So, Mr. Chairperson, I want to appreciate you on
Chairperson.
all this. But something happens this morning that I saw, and I need to bring it to your notice. And what did I see there? Yes, I saw that the adverts on Facebook that Guinness is going to give to 20 football fans a chance to watch a live match in Premier League and to visit UK to watch it. Chairperson, extend to shareholder and take it.
Thank you. Thank you,
On
Mr.
this
Judah.
note, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Can I just again appeal to shareholders so that we can take as many comments and questions as possible? Please be brief. Please. Ms. Shiombala, please.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. Good morning, Madam Chairperson, other board members here present, and those participating virtually, the regulatory authorities here present and those participating virtually, my fellow distinguished shareholders here present and those participating virtually, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Barrister Detutu Shiobola. I'm the president of Highly Favored Shareholders. Madam Chairperson, I have some observations, comments, questions, and suggestions on Guinness Nigeria PLC 2022 annual report. With your kind permission, I will quickly run through them. On page 2, that's financial highlights. Let me skip that. It has been dealt with. Then, on the issue of board and management changes, let me skip that too. On page 19, directors' interest and their interest too, though my own view is different. That's why I don't want to skip that. I observed that only 5 directors out of 11 listed have shares attached to their names directly or indirectly. He said 2. He said 2. Please, I'm having a contrary view to that. That's why I have to. Why, when I marry the shareholding and substantial shareholders on page 19, with substantial interest in shares on page 152, I observed that we have 4 major shareholders in our company. I would like to know who is representing the minority shareholders in our board. If there is none, why are we not represented? From page 23 to 27, attendance at board meetings and board committee meetings is good, but can be better. When I marry the sustainability and social responsibility report on page 36 to 43, with page 64 to 71, I observe that our CSR in the year under review is perfect because it covered health, education, social welfare, youth empowerment, and community development. This is commendable. Please keep it up. On page 48 and 49, the beautiful faces of the board of directors. I observe that we have 4 ladies as directors out of 11, which amounts to 36%. This is average, but still commendable. Please keep it up. On page 56 and 57, the beautiful faces of the leadership team. I observe that we have only 3 ladies in the leadership team out of 9, which amounts to 33%. This is unacceptable on gender balancing. We have to improve on it going forward. On page 60, Guinness Nigeria shines with 7 awards at 2021 Marketing Edge Awards. I observed that 3 out of these awards were given to us for the decade. This is commendable. And they are Guinness Nigeria as Outstanding FMCG Corporate Brand of the Decade, Guinness Stout as Outstanding Alcoholic Beverage Brand of the Decade, and Johnny Walker as Outstanding Spirit Brand of the Decade. This is commendable. Please keep it up. On page 88, let me skip that as well. We've spoken on that. On page 152, share capital history. I observe that The last time we received bonus was year 2006, which is 16 years ago. I'm appealing to the board and the management team to look into this direction when considering 2023 accounts. I also observe that we have utilized this annual report judiciously to advertise all our products. This is commendable. Please keep it up. Thanks, and God bless you richly for the opportunity. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Shiambala. Yes, please. And can I ask that you please follow Mrs. Shiambala's lead? If a question you want to ask has been asked already, it'd be really great if you could just skip it and go to the next one. Thank you.
The chairman, other erudite scholars on the board of Guinness PLC. I am Honorable Bright Onwabo, the National President of ABBA Shareholders Association. Mr. Chairman, in a jiffy, I will hand over the microphone to other speakers to continue. I am going to speak on page 34, Equal Opportunity Employment Practices. The company stated here that they were not biased in terms of recruitment, and I want to oblige the board and management of Guinness PLC in the aspect of employment. They were not biased in recruitment. What they stated here that both physically dischallenged or disabled. I want to oblige them to look inwardly. I'm making a case out of this. To employ physically dischallenged persons that are scholars in their various fields. We have lawyers, we have accountants, those that can add value to this company. I want to oblige you people. It's going to give them sense of belonging. And I want to still make a case for them here. If we have physically dischallenged, persons in this company, how many are they? We wish to know and wish to ask the board to still state it next year in this annual report. How many physically dischallenged we have in this company? If we don't have, please, we have them, learned ones. I urge this board to employ some of them to add value. Thank you, madam.
Thank you. I'll go to the gentleman at the back, please, for the suit. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson. I'm happy to be here, and I say good morning to every one of us. The name is Dr. Anthony Omoni Omojola, the National Coordinator, Independent Shareholders Association of Nigeria. As usual, we have sent a comprehensive review to the management board for examination. So I'll not be speaking much here, rather than to support you and praise the efforts of the management and board and staff for this good performance. And of course, to say bye-bye to the directors that had gone and to welcome those that have just come on board and to ask them to give in their best. I have the list on page 18 that I won't have to go to. On pages 36 and to 45, I like the Sustainability and Social Responsibility Acts that were performed there, and I wish we do more, because it's through these efforts that we are able to sustain the efforts of what we are doing. We are able to grow more goods and services, which we use directly and indirectly to sustain our efforts in creating value. This ditto pages 59 to 75 under the corporate social events where we support the society. and they make some services available to the corporate world. Specifically on page 46, I read through the board evaluation, and I'm happy for the comment there. Normally, we expect such evaluation to be done under SWOT analysis. That is, you want to know where we have the strength, the weaknesses, where we have opportunity to grow, and the threat area so that we can focus on bringing them down. This is the way I felt the evaluation should be done. Of course, they said they've noticed certain areas which have been advanced to the board to take care of, but going forward, I want evaluation to be done in that way. Having said this, thank you for the opportunity of being here, and we pray we have a successful HM.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Samuel.
The chairperson, other members of the board, very distinguished fellow shareholders. For the records, my names are Nona Awu. Madam, given the position that you have given me, I think it's also extremely difficult. Literally all the persons that you called are people who are preparing for 2023. Because if you look at them very well, you will find some of them indicative in their caps, some of them indicative in the posture they took even in their suits. But let's leave that for another day. Page 2. I want to again appeal, because for a publicly quoted company, there are some indicators that are also unique to you as a publicly quoted company. And I say this because very many times, a number of companies that are quoted on our market don't often realize that they need to market their share price. Nothing in this document is indicating that this is where you were this time, June last year, and June this year. So I'll be hoping that not only will you have such information on what you have as financial summary, that you also extend that to page 151, where you also have your 5-year summary. And the reason for this is simple. Somebody talked about inflation. A number of persons, as against what it used to be in the past, will want to be sure that his investment in terms of return has some correlation or has some relationship with the money market. And because if he doesn't have, then it also becomes a challenge. So I'll be hoping that that is one area that you take on board going forward. I did find, by the way, I hear quite a number of speakers before me talk about you have done well. Baker, I think you'll have baked better. I think you'll have baked better. And I will tell you why. Yes, I find a situation where on page 89, other income went up more than twice. But looking at page 50 and 54, I thought we'll have made money by the size of the CVs that some of our directors also brought on the table. If their CVs were longer than a particular length, I'm sure you'll have asked them to pay. And they will have paid, and that will have made your other income bigger. So I think, unfortunately, you are leaving, but I think it's something that the new CFO and the new MD need to look at. The longer the CV, let's put some charges on it, and then you see other income will get better. But let me also say that the reason I said the benefit will have been higher, again, is indicative of what you have done on page 48 and 49. I find a situation where 3/4 of the directors basically had their hands closed, which means they didn't want to release some money from revenue reserve to bring it into dividend. Looking at the report that you also have here, you find we've been fortunate
to pay as high as 10 naira. And I don't think it will have cost us that much if that was also done in the year under review. Given that you're also cancelling the shares. If you are giving a bonus and paying something slightly lower, maybe. But I don't think that you shouldn't have done better. Because like Mr. Chief Akinlade talked about, our cash position more than doubled. Our debt profile, other than LC, was also better. And anybody who looks at us as a company will consider us as a bullion van with cash dropping from every part of our body, from the ear, from the mouth, from the nose. So why wouldn't you have given us much more than this? Because the challenge I have with what we have here, with a revenue reserve standing at 88.8 billion, you must begin to understand that you need to reward us much more now. Let's spend our money the way we want. I'm happy somebody talked about interim dividend, because this is the way we are going to go. 88 billion. Even if you want to acquire a bank, I'm sure you go for one of the top banks, But that is not your area of interest. So release much more money to us now that you begin to understand that you are not going to give us additional shares. But it's also important to mention that going forward, because for me, yesterday is gone. I'm hoping that before the end of the week, your first quarter, July to September 2022, will be released. That itself will give me an understanding of the direction. Because there's something you talked about in this report, Madam. On page 14, you said the initiative and all of those will make us proud to be associated with the company. And I want that to begin to reflect in interim dividend like I talked about earlier. And then the second major area that I also want us to talk about, looking at page 124, which has unclaimed dividend, over 1 billion what was returned to the company. And I know that our foreign partners will not be interested in taking monies that is not their own. Neither am I interested as an investor in taking money that is not my own. I will be suggesting that going forward, that we should begin to push such money in a special fund, largely targeted at schools, scholarship, research and development. That way we'll be seen as being, we can't be a saint, but at least we are improving as to what, because taking 1 billion of Nigerians' money and then you bring it next year, the foreign partner will share out of it as major shareholders. Nigerians will share out of it. I don't think that is the right way to go. Let's begin to put back the money to the benefit of bigger numbers of Nigeria. And it's also in that light that I will be asking on page 154, where you have the list of unclaimed, the list of dividends that have been paid. 2012 will become statute bar before the end of this year. I'm not sure what we have on our website, but I think it's something that between the office of the company secretary and the registrar, we need to push those numbers, the names and numbers for that particular year, so we can see the possibility of making sure that some monies go back to the owners of the money. I don't know what our current practice is, but it's important that we encourage the registrars to have it on their website, the company to also have it on their website, but much more importantly, have in-house investor relation work with the registrar to make sure that that size of money will go down. And I'm also be using this opportunity to request that going forward, the share-based scheme does not have enough information. Nowhere in this document can I say this is the beneficiary of the share scheme. It should be disclosed. It should be disclosed because, interestingly, it's also part of the pay that the top management gets. Okay? All that you have here is the number of shares that come. We are paying for it. So if we are paying for it, we should know who the beneficiaries are. And I also be hoping, as part of your, I'm not sure how to put this now, but I know that you belong to the Manufacturing Association of Nigeria. And if in 1 year, we paid 745.5 million in tax, secondary, tertiary education tax. There's a trust fund for that. When that fund was first opened, it was largely dominated by the private sector because they're the biggest contributor. But what have they done now? Probably that's why my colleagues are getting ready for 2023. It's been taken over by politicians. Please make sure that you are leading a campaign, because yourself and a major competitor are the part of the biggest contributor to that fund. You can't make donation, you can't make contribution and somebody else is spending the money. Okay? We must have a situation where we must get key position in that trust fund, so we are sure which school is getting what and what is the basis of getting it, not a situation where politicians go every other week, they have meetings and then they pay sitting allowance. That is not the way you are structured here. So let's take that discipline to them. And if government is not going to listen, we can also go to the National Assembly. Because enough of this, oh, see what they are doing to us. We must begin to say, this is what they must not do to us. That is the only way we can get a better country. I have also been closing on the notes of what I have spoken about in the past. Yes, Baker and his team has done a good work. But I still consider a missing link, and this we've also discussed with the chairperson. What happens to bright and morally upright Nigerians? What is their chances of becoming the CEO of Guinness Nigeria? Because if you ask me, if I were a job seeker, okay, unfortunately I've not retired like Chief Akinlade. I'm still in active service. I am not likely to apply to Guinness, even if they give me the best of pay. Because what you basically are asking me to do, get the money, but this is the bar. So let's begin to look at, I'm not saying you should just bring anybody, but I also know the last time that Guinness employed or had a Nigerian as the CEO. And everywhere in the world, that position also gives you a leverage as to how your country is governed. Okay, so please, I won't be surprised if you give an answer that 2 Nigerians are in Togo, they are the CEO of Guinness Togo. Okay? That for me is not sufficient. Because if you look at the size of our country vis-a-vis a number of African countries, we still have an edge. And that itself means that we have an advantage as to what we can bring on the table. So, Shandy, Mark, I think that you also must help us. And I'm hoping that the group managing director of Diego is also listening. Get me right, I'm not asking you to bring just anybody. But there are quite a number of very knowledgeable and morally upright, because you could be knowledgeable and be wayward in terms of character. And that is something that I think we must take very seriously going forward. Once again, I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you, Mr. Awo. Yes, madam.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. All protocol duly observed. My name is Mrs. Bisi Bakari, a shareholder. Madam, I'm going to be very brief. I will start my comment from page 7 of the annual reports and accounts. Page 7, where we have Johnny Walker Blue Label. I just want to ask, Madam, that are we having only this size of Johnny Walker Blue Label, or we have 2 sizes? The reason why I'm asking this, of course I know this is made for the rich, it's not for the poor. Fine. But we should consider the average level as well, if you can have small sizes. Page 38. Page 38. There is a vehicle here, Ember Month campaign, don't drive and don't drink and drive. Madam, this is very good and it's highly commendable. But I just want to advise our company. This is not enough. We need to do more jingle on this by going to bus stops, motor park, to especially those drivers, to let them know that when you drive, don't drink. Page 60. Oh, sorry, that is the award. They've talked about it. Page 88. Page 88. I know much I've talked about the page, but what I want to talk about is trade and other receivables. Madam, I noticed that our trade and other receivables, note 19A, was 14 million last year, and this year billion, and this year is the same figure. So I want the management to look at this and find a way to further reduce this figure next year by God's grace. Page 92. Page 92, under statement of cash flows, loan service award. This is very good, but because this will also motivate our staff. But I want the board to also do more of this. Page 115. Note 12C. I noticed that we have 2 of our employees that are earning between 100,000 to 500,000. Madam, I want to ask, Nigeria of today, I don't know the type of family we are paying this type of money to. I want the board to look at this. I have only 2 questions. My first question, I want to ask that what is our company doing to address the much dependence on imported raw materials in the light of unsustainable foreign exchange at 750 naira per dollar? 2, what is the management response to the effect of high cost of diesel, high interest rates, currency devaluation, high foreign exchange rates, which is a disincentive to importation? Once again, thank you very much for the opportunity given to me, and I wish everybody journey mercy back to our various destinations.
Thank you, Ms. Bakari. Mr. Shionbola, please. Oh, sorry, Mr. Adesina, I beg your pardon. Chief Adesina, apologies.
Thank you. Whether it's Shionbola or Adesina, all is Adesina. We join us together. Thank you very much, the chairman, members of the board, distinguished fellow shareholders. Good morning. I'm Chief Timothy Adesina, the immediate past president of Nigerian Shareholders Solidarity Association. This account we are considering today is taking us back to memory lane. In year 2006, we had an account that was almost similar to the one we are considering today. And that year, it was in that account that we were borrowing money from some organizations, and we have a huge reserve. So I then raised the question that why are we not, or why were we not using our own reserves instead of borrowing money from other companies? At the end of the day, it was the board agreed to have a meeting. After the meeting, after the AGM, and thereafter, they declared an interim dividend to all shareholders of this company. What I'm saying now is that we have sufficient reserves. We are not going to sell the money. And you board members are keeping the money on behalf of we shareholders. Why are we not using this money to give shareholders bonus instead of cancellation of unissued share capital? I'm suggesting and I'm saying I'm not going to support the cancellation of unissued share capital. But rather than that, you should use it to give us bonuses, however small it will be. Most of the people who are speaking here, they are not our friends because they don't consume our products. I'm very much impressed about the progress the company is making, about the innovations you are making in your products, especially the Baileys, which you are now, or which you have been licensed to be manufacturing in Nigeria to the benefit of Nigerians. So those of you who are not consuming Guinness products, you don't know what you are missing. You don't know what you are missing. You don't know what you are missing. And I'm advising that you should please try Baileys and know what will do about your strength. Thank you very much. So I'm appealing to the board, staff and management to consider the reserves which we have and think of a way of making these reserves come back to shareholders. And even in the process, I know it is you people with the large holdings that will benefit, but let those of us who have the mega shareholdings also benefit. Thank you. God bless you all.
Thank you very much for all your comments and your questions, distinguished shareholders. I will now call on the Managing Director to respond to the questions that have been asked.
Thank you, Chair. I realize that you still called Mr. Chairman, and I hope that was an error. It wasn't a pun intended. Many questions have been asked, but first, a big thank you for acknowledging my team and I for a decent financial year. Thank you very much for your support, challenge, and the council. We appreciate that. Some questions I'll answer quickly, and others I'll pass on to the CFO to answer. On increase of inventory, I think the comparison to 2021 in the same period may not be quite definitive, because 2021 we had lots of COVID and we're all working hard to make sure that we did not have inventory at all, because we didn't know the country would open fully, and you know beer has got a shelf life, so you don't want to keep it too long. You might end up throwing it away. So 2022 reflects more than normal levels of inventory that we needed to hold, and we feel that served us well in delivering the numbers we did. On engineering spares, we had lots of work that was going on in Benin at the time, you know, expanding space production lines, Bale's Delight being one of them, but also we had some renovation we had to do in Ogba. So at the time of reporting, we had quite a bit of engineering spares which have now been used up. How do you plan to deal with inflation? I wish I had the answer, to be honest. I wish I had an answer. Possibly I would be pitching for the governor of the central bank. It's a difficult question, but what do we have in plan? We had a board meeting this morning and we took some guidance from the board. We will continue being prudent in taking pricing to get the right balance between protecting our margin, but also not punishing consumers too much. Second thing that we've been tasked to do is look inward and continue looking for savings and productivity, so that we don't spend money we don't have and then punish consumers for that. And I think the third big thing, which somebody else asked the question, is on local raw material, buying local. As I reported last year, Guinness, we now sit at about 83% of everything we use to produce in Nigeria, we buy locally. Everything from sorghum, labels, crowns, bottles, neutral spirit, name it. So that helps us to hedge against the imported inflation with Forex. The downside, though, is that some of the local suppliers are beginning to inject a dollar-denominated pricing behavior into the local pricing. So because they say they import some, spares themselves, there's some things they need to pay in Forex. So we are always trying to balance that. But those are the big three things we're trying to do. Buy local, avoid Forex as much as possible, be productive, don't be wasteful, and as much as possible, take prudent pricing to make sure that, protect your margin without punishing consumers too much. I think the other was, what are you doing to accelerate the use of digital in order to connect with the consumers who buy the brands we sell? There's a lot we're doing. We have a whole team that is supported by the global team that sits in London. There's a lot of exciting things around digital. One of the things is the way we are communicating. Digital is much cheaper, it is sharper, and it gives you much more connection to the consumer. Things like billboards is like Air Force. You put it on the road and hope somebody will see it. So we are increasingly using digital in the way we are communicating our brands. If you don't see our adverts, then possibly you're not the target audience, but the target audience will always see our brands. And we try to make sure that we also get a feedback system by which consumers tell us how they're feeling about our brands. This morning, I reported at the board that the latest report we had in Q1, Guinness is the most loved beer brand in Nigeria. John Walker is the most loved whiskey. Malta Guinness is the most loved Malta brand in this country. All of those things is testimony to what the team is doing to try and speak directly to consumers in a way that is relevant to what it is they're looking for in brands. We will always continue learning because it's a new field for all of us. We are continuously building capacity to become better and better, both internally but also with our media agencies who buy media for us. E-commerce is an area we've gone into. It's new for all of us, but we're learning quickly. And you'll have seen that many of our brands are now available when you go and you want to buy them online. How do you plan to grow exports? We have a big plan which is led by the Chief Finance Officer. We have a whole team that we've hired, an internal team. When you see this year's growth of, next time we meet, you'll see that there's a big shift in our exports revenue versus the year before. There remain difficulties, and we know all of these. To be competitive in the market you're exporting to, you need to have lower cost of production, logistics, the non-trade barriers. So some of those things still provide us with challenges. We know we can supply more stuff into West Africa, but the roads are difficult, the non-tariff barriers between, but we're working with those. We put together a team, and we're beginning to see lots of traction. Europe and the US, we were affected a little bit by COVID as well, but also you're hearing what is going on in those economies. Inflation has gone up, and they're also being very choiceful in how they're spending their money. But we're on it. There's a full team there, which is sponsored by Chief Finance Officer. Guinness should have a plant in Abuja. We have looked at that before. We don't have an intention of doing that now. No, it has nothing to do with Sharia. But we think the geographical mapping of how we can supply Abuja, it does not add any benefit to your cost to serve. All it does is you have a new facility, inventory seated in more places, double handling. So we have studied it to death. We might in the future have a distribution and sales center, but certainly not a plant, not yet, not now. Disaster response to floods is a feedback we've taken. I'll feed that back into the team if there's anything more we can do. But I can tell you we're also victims of this flood. We have trucks which have not come back for months, and obviously this is increasing the cost of running the organization. But we take your point, and I'll pass that on to the team. Disabled employees, the Chief People Officer is seated right behind you. I'm sure she's taken a lot of notes. She's the lady in red and navy blue. I'm sure she'll be responding to that. Cash reserves and dividend, I'll leave that to the Chief Finance Officer. Local raw materials, we are doing a lot of work with the farmers. There's a lady in white just seated behind you, in cream, I think. She's wearing specs. She's called Nike. She does a lot of work in the community, just to make sure that people know what it is we're doing, but also helping farmers to commercialize and sell stuff back to Guinness. So we're proud of what we're doing with local farmers and local raw materials. So that's where we are. Thanks very much for your questions and your challenges. We've taken those on board. Listening to you always gives us an opportunity to improve and learn. I'll pass on to the CFO.
Thank you, Becca. Thank you, everyone. I really like the question that was asked by one of the shareholders around how can we make other income through CVs. I will consider that. Don't worry. So I think, Becca, you have answered all the questions. What is left on the table? There was a question asked on tax. Why are we paying higher level of tax? I think this is just a function of the revenue that you are making. The more you make money, the more tax you pay. I think that is pretty straightforward. There was a question around inventory. I think Becca have taken that. There was a question on the relativity between the cash we are holding and our vendor balances. I think the answer is around FX availability. I mean, the bunch of that payable that you see in our balance sheet is actually related to foreign vendors, which you cannot pay for now because we don't have access to FX. So, but I mean, this does not discount the fact that our business has actually been generating cash. Even if we were to pay all the payables that we have in our balance sheet, we will still have material cash sitting in our business, which means that the business we are managing for you is actually generating cash, and that will continue. That's our commitment. Any other ones? I think you spoke about. So there was a question around the reserves we have, and probably the question is why don't we pay more dividends or give bonus shares to our shareholders? I don't have the answer. But what I can say here is that there is a clear difference between reserves and the money that we have in the business and what we intend to do that we use that money for. If you look at our accounts, you will see a lot of investment that we've been doing. We've invested behind our brands. We've done a lot of innovations, and even from a capacity expansion perspective, we are doing a lot. What will have happened is we give back the reserve any reserve to the shareholders, and then we ask them to increase the share capital. It won't make sense. The money that you have in the company is being utilized to improve our capacity, our production capacity. We are actually investing today for tomorrow's benefit, and I think that would be my attempt to answer your question. I know you are not aligned with that, but basically that's what we're doing. If you look back to what has happened this year, the available cash that we generated out of the business, which is actually the profit of the year, has been paid as dividend, has been proposed to be paid as dividend. Retained earnings, I think this is a different conversation. It's a little bit technical, but if you want us to embark on that, we can do that, basically.
Thank you. Not yet. Thank you. Thank you very much, Emmanuel, and thank you, Baker. Again, distinguished shareholders, thank you for your questions and your comments. I would now like to call on the registrar to give us a short demonstration on how the electronic voting device works and give us instruction on how to use the device.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, Board Directors, and distinguished shareholders of Guinness Nigeria PLC. The voting parts, which were earlier given to the shareholders, will be used for voting on the respective resolutions to be read out by the chairperson. For the purpose of voting, shareholders are restricted only to the buttons labeled numbers 1 and 2 on the pad, as displayed over there. Button number 1 represents yes in favor of the resolution, while button number 2 represents no or against the resolution. In order to vote, shareholders are to press the appropriate button which represents their intention. Shareholders have 25 seconds to cast their vote once they are on to vote. The result of the voting exercise will be displayed on the digital screen in real time, while the analysis will be displayed immediately for view. Thank you.
On the agenda, which is a declaration of dividend. And I hereby move that a dividend in respect of the year ended 30 June 2022 of 15,639,333,327 naira and 66 kobo. That is 7 naira 14 kobo per ordinary share of 50 kobo each. Be and is hereby declared payable on the 26th of October 2022 out of the amount standing to the credit of the Statement of Comprehensive Income to all shareholders registered in the books of the company at the close of business on the 23rd of September 2022. Before I ask someone to second this motion, I would just like to highlight that this dividend would be paid to shareholders after the deduction of the appropriate withholding tax. Can I ask someone to please rise and second the motion? Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, my chairperson. My name is Alaja Salata Iyabode Balogun. I rise to second the motion.
Thank you very much. I now put the motion on agenda item number 2 to the meeting for voting. Registrars.
Okay, on the resolution to declare a dividend, shareholders can now cast their votes. Madam Chair, on the resolution to declare a dividend, we have 100% in favor of the resolution. Thank you.
I hereby declare that the motion has been carried. The next item on the agenda is to approve the appointments of Mr. Emmanuel Difom as an executive director, Mr. Dayalan Nayaga as a non-executive director, and Mrs. Tariye Badegeshi as an independent non-executive director. We shall be seeking the confirmation of the appointment of these new directors who joined the board of directors after the last annual general meeting. First is Mr. Emmanuel Difom. Mr. Difom's profile is set out on page 51 of the annual report and accounts. I hereby move that the appointment of Mr. Emmanuel Difom be confirmed by shareholders. Will someone please rise to second the motion? Mr. Difom, can you please? Mr. Difom, that's his name. Thank you. Can I ask for someone to please rise and second the motion? Thank you very much. I hereby put the motion to the meeting for voting. Registrars.
On the resolution to confirm the appointment of Mr. Emmanuel Difom, shareholders can now cast their votes.
I would like to crave the indulgence of our distinguished shareholders. Mr. Nyaga has had some connectivity issues, and so he's unable, he was here earlier on, but he's dropped off and he's unable to connect. So I ask that you please accept his picture as a full representation of his presence. Thank you. Thank you. I hereby move that the appointment of Mr. Dala Nyaga be confirmed by shareholders. Will someone please rise to second the motion? Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Madam. My name is Mrs. Bisi Bakari. I second the motion.
Thank you. Registrars.
On the resolution to appoint Mr. Dayalan Nyaga, shareholders can now cast their votes. Madam Chair, on the resolution to appoint Mr. Nyaga, we have 99.73% in favor of the resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. I hereby declare that the motion has been carried. The last director appointment after the last annual general meeting and seeking confirmation is Mrs. Tariye Gbadegeshin. Mrs. Gbadegeshin's profile is set out on page 53 of the annual report and accounts. I hereby move that the appointment of Mrs. Tariye Gbadegeshin be confirmed by shareholders. Would someone please rise and second the motion? Yes, madam. Thank you.
On the resolution to confirm the appointment of Mrs. Tariye Gbadegeshin, shareholders may now cast their votes. Madam Chair, we have 99.73% in favor of the resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. I hereby declare that the motion has been carried. I now move on to the next item on the agenda, which is the re-election of directors. I would like to mention that the register of directors' attendance at the meetings of the board during the period under review is available for inspection in accordance with Section 285, subsection 2 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020. You would have seen from the report that 3 directors are retiring by rotation at this meeting in accordance with the Articles of Association. Being eligible, the said directors have offered themselves for re-election. They are myself, Dr. Mobola Johnson, Mr. Leo Breen, and Mr. Mark Sands. The first director retiring shall be myself. As this involves my re-election, I propose that Mr. Magunda should take the chair and conduct the meeting until this posting motion has been concluded.
As interim chair, I'm required to stand. I'm required to stand. I'm required to stand so that there is a clear difference. I hereby move that Dr. Omobola Johnson, an independent non-executive director retiring in accordance with the Articles of Association of the company, be and she is hereby re-elected a director of the company. Would someone please rise and second the motion? Thank you, Chief.
On the resolution to re-elect as director Dr. Omobola Johnson, shareholders may now cast their votes.
Can we vote, please?
the MD CEO, we have 100% in favor of on the resolution to re-elect Dr. Omobola Johnson.
I think we need a strong clap for that. It's the first vote this morning we've had 100%. That's very significant. I hereby declare the motion has been carried, and therefore I hand over the chairmanship to Dr. Omobola. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Magunda. So I'm back. The second director retiring by rotation is Mr. Leo Breen. I hereby move that Mr. Leo Breen, a non-executive director retiring in accordance with the Articles of Association of the company, be and is hereby re-elected a director of the company. Would someone please rise and second the motion? Thank you.
On the resolution to re-elect Dr. Leo Breen, shareholders may now cast their vote. Oh, Mr. We have 100% in favor of the resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. I hereby declare that the motion has been carried. Finally, the next director retiring by rotation is Mr. Mark Sands. I hereby move that Mr. Mark Sands, non-executive director, retiring in accordance with the Articles of Association of the company, be and is hereby elected a director of the company. Would someone please rise and second the motion? Registrars, please.
Okay, thank you. On the resolution to re-elect Mr. Mark Sands, shareholders may now cast their votes. Madam Chair, we have 99.73% in favor of the resolution. Thank you.
I hereby declare that the motion has been carried. On behalf of all our elected directors, we would like to very much thank all our shareholders for the confidence that you have reposed in us to continue to serve as directors in this company and promise to continue to act in the best interest of the company. The next item on the agenda is to disclose the remuneration of managers of the company. Section 257 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020 states that the compensation of managers of a meeting shall be disclosed to members of the company at the annual general meeting. The remuneration paid to managers of the company for the year under review, including sundry costs and expenses, is as disclosed on note 11B on page 113 of the annual report and accounts. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is for the motion to authorize directors to fix the remuneration of the independent auditors for the F23 financial year. Section 408, subsection 1B of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020 provides that the remuneration of auditors shall be fixed by the company in general meeting or in such manner as the company in general meeting may determine. I hereby move that the directors be, and they are hereby authorized by this general meeting of the company to fix the remuneration and expenses of the auditors for the financial year 2023. Would the shareholder please rise and second the motion? Yes, yes, sir. I hereby put the motion to the meeting for voting.
On the resolution to fix the remuneration of independent auditors, shareholders may now cast their votes. Madam Chair, we have 100% in favor of that resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. I hereby declare that the motion has been carried. The next item is the election of members of the Statutory Audit Committee. The provisions of Section 404, subsection 3, Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020, provides that the maximum shall now be 5 members, with 2 being directors and 3 shareholder representatives. Consequently, the Board of Directors had nominated the following 2 directors as members of the Statutory Audit Committee for the new financial year: Ms. Ngozi Edozien and Mrs. Tarie Badegeshi. At the close of business on the 24th October 2022, the following valid nominations were received by the Company Secretary for election as members of the Audit Committee: Moses Igrude, George Ibade, and Namdi Okwadigbo. Since there are not more than 3 valid nominations for election into the Statutory Audit Committee, and all the nominees are returning shareholder representatives, I hereby move the motion for the meeting to return the 3 nominees as duly elected. Will someone please rise and second the motion? Yes, ma'am.
My name is Elijah Salata Iyabode Balu. I rise to second the motion.
Thank you. Having now received the names of the representatives of the shareholders and those of the directors to the Statutory Audit Committee, I hereby declare that the following have been elected members of the Statutory Audit Committee for the year. I beg your pardon. Yes. For the year 2022 and 2023. Ms. Ngozi Edozien, Mrs. Tarie Badegeshi, Mr. Moses Ibrude, Mr. George Ibade, and Mr. Namdi Okwadigbo. The next item on the agenda concerns fixing the remuneration of the directors. Yes, we can clap for them. For the financial year 2022, and I should mention at this stage that in line with the regulatory guidelines, the approval of the Corporate Affairs Commission was sought and obtained to conduct special business which otherwise required to be passed as special resolution at this meeting. The directors have decided to divide any remuneration approved for them by the shareholders amongst those who are not full-time working directors. There are now 2 full-time working directors, Mr. Baker Magunda, the Managing Director, and Mr. Emmanuel Diffom, Finance and Strategy Director, all of whom are remunerated wholly by way of salary. As I am not a full-time working director, I propose that again Mr. Magunda shall take the chair and conduct the meeting until voting on this motion has been concluded.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I hereby move that the remuneration of the directors in respect of the year ending 30th of June 2023 be and is hereby fixed at not more than 150,509,076 million naira. Let me repeat the number. 150 million naira, 509,076 naira. This represents a 0 increment as compared to the year before. Would someone please rise and second the motion? Thank you, Doctor. I hereby put the motion to a vote.
On the resolution to fix the remuneration of the directors, shareholders may now cast their vote. The MDCEO, we have 100% in favor of the resolution. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the vote. I hereby declare that the motion has been carried and duly hand over the chairmanship to Dr. Omobla. Thank you.
Thank you, Baker. The following resolutions on the agenda are to be considered as special resolutions. I hereby move that the resolution to approve that the company's directors be and are hereby authorized to take steps to comply with the requirements of Section 124 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020 and the Companies Regulations 2021 as it relates to unissued shares by effecting the cancellation of all unissued shares of the company be and is hereby approved, and that the resolution authorizing the directors of the company to do all such acts, including appointing professional parties and advisors as may be necessary to give effect to the above resolution, be and is hereby approved. Would someone please rise and second the motion? Thank you, Ms. Bakari. Thank you. I hereby put the motion to the meeting for voting.
The cancellation of the unissued shares, shareholders may now cast their vote. Madam Chair, we have 99.73% in favor of the resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. I hereby declare that the motion has been carried. The next item on the agenda, also to be passed as a special resolution, is on amendment of the company's memorandum of association pursuant to the cancellation of unissued shares. I hereby move that the resolution to approve the amendment of Clause 5 of the Memorandum of Association of the company pursuant to the cancellation of the unissued shares by deleting Clause 5 and substituting it with the following new clause: that the share capital of the company is 1,095,191,409 naira and 50 kobo, divided into 2,190,382,819 ordinary shares of 50 kobo each, be and is hereby approved. Would the shareholder please rise and second the motion? Thank you.
Okay, we have 100% in favor of the resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. I hereby declare that the motion has been carried. Distinguished shareholders, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the conclusion of the formal part of the meeting, requiring the passage of resolutions on the agenda of the meeting. I would like to thank all of you on behalf of the board for attending this meeting and your devotion to the company's affairs. I urge you to continue to practice social distancing of the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, and I wish you a very safe journey back to your respective destinations. I hereby declare the meeting closed. National anthem, please.